This is East Carolina All-American Bryant Packard, and we're talking Pirate baseball and the Sports Objective, the unofficial podcast of the Pirates.
Greenville Regional will be taking place at Clark LeClaire Stadium, and right now very excited to be joined by the fourth-year head coach of the Maryland Terrapins, Rob Vaughn. Coach, how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Just on our way down to Greenville, ready to go.
Appreciate your time. Appreciate you coming on the show on such short notice. Really looking forward to this weekend's Greenville Regional. And just right off the bat, and just talk about everything that you guys have dealt with the last 15 months, the craziness with the COVID-19 pandemic and the way your ball club has fought its way through it.
Yeah, man, it's been, for everybody around the country, but I mean, even college athletics, the last 15 months have been pretty crazy. You know, we were heading down to TCU last year. We were on a plane and kind of got the word, the night before that the NBA season had been canceled or suspended or whatever they did. So when that happened, I looked at my wife and I said, man, that's not a great sign for college sports. But, talked to our associate AD on the way to the airport the next morning. It's like, hey, you guys are good. Hop on the plane. And about halfway to Fort Worth, we were heading down to play TCU. About halfway down there, I started getting text messages about the Big Ten basketball tournament getting canceled. And, one thing led to another. And, I mean, over the course of that 3-hour flight, we went from, hey, get on a plane and rock and roll to your season's done, and it was a pretty rough trip back. At that time, nobody knew what the NCAA was going to do. The seniors are sitting there wondering if that's it for them or what comes next, and just a lot of ambiguity, I guess, in that situation. But you know what, we got through it. We got a good group of guys that came back this year, and it's been a challenging year for us. We've had a lot of injuries, a lot of kind of obstacles to overcome, but the boys have kept fighting and getting after it and have put themselves in a position to keep playing a little bit longer. So, this group's answered every bit of adversity that's been thrown their way. So I'm excited to get to spend at least one more week with them and come down to Greenville and see what we got.
Obviously, the Big Ten Conference elected to play no non-conference games this year, and with that being the case, you guys went 28-16 with those 44 Big Ten games. You started off 5-9, and you referenced some injuries and so forth. But that 5-9 start since then, you guys have been 23-7, so just remarkably consistent over the last 30 games.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. We got down there, and like everybody, the fall was crazy here. We basically got back, got shut down for about a week. We had some positive cases and set the program down for probably about a month. So you get back, you have a really disjointed fall. You're trying to get these guys to spend some time together and get to know each other. But at the same time, COVID restrictions are so tight, and understandably so at the time. But, these guys are basically isolated to their own apartments. And so, it really wasn't until we started traveling together at the beginning of the year that you had some of these older guys starting to get to know some of the younger guys and starting to kind of figure each other out a little bit. And it was a rocky start for us at the beginning. We didn't play just a good brand of baseball and weren't consistent in what we were doing. But to tell you what, when everybody wrote this group off at 5-9 and said, it's just one of those years, and you start hearing all the excuses about that, these guys just never stopped working, and they set themselves up. We had an unbelievable second half, and I think we won our last 7 series and played really well down the stretch. So it's a group I'm really proud of their resiliency, because it's been a lot of adversity this year, but they've done nothing but continue to show up every day and continue to compete and continue to work. And I think that's the thing I'm most proud of them about.
Before we dive a little bit deeper into your ball club specifically, take a look at the Big Ten as a whole. I know you guys closed the year with a series win at number 24 Michigan, as they were at the time. Also took 2 out of 3 from a very good Indiana team in College Park. So just talk about the Big Ten Conference. And it wasn't all that many years ago that Indiana made it to the College World Series. You had Michigan playing for national title against Vanderbilt on the last complete season we had in 2019. So what are your thoughts on the league as a whole?
I tell you what, we got in the league in 2015, and this year was just such a strange year for the league, because you referenced it earlier. The decision was made to play Big Ten only competitions, and obviously we know that at the time, everybody's trying to make what decision they think's best and is the safest and the most responsible for their athletes. And, our conference decided we were going to go conference only. And, and it's really hard because I think, since I've been in the league in 15, this is without question the best the league's ever been. Our league gets, on average 4.5 teams into the NCAA tournament every year. There's some years we get 4, there's some years we get 5, and somewhere in between. And but we've been pretty steady in that regard. And I tell you what, there's some really good Big Ten teams sitting at home right now. And I think the reality is, with us playing conference only competition, it was really hard for the committee to really decipher how good are we. We just kind of beat up on each other and slug it out with each other every week. So, without playing outside competition, it was really hard for them to evaluate. And obviously, they did the best job they could in putting the field together. But you got a team in Indiana that's got a pitching staff that if they got in a regional could have been a major problem. I mean, those arms are very, very elite that they have over there, from their bullpen to their starters. Really, really good arms. You have Rick Heller's team out at Iowa. That team can really, really play. And in most normal years is a regional caliber team. And that's not even mentioning the Ohio States, who got several top round draft picks on their pitching staff. And it was just a really deep league this year. I think it's unfortunate that the league isn't able to represent itself better in the NCAA tournament, but that's kind of is what it is. And it's our job, us, Michigan and Nebraska, it's our job to show that our league was good this year and to kind of carry that into this week. So league itself is very tough, very strong this year, really good top end teams. I tell you what, there's teams that generally struggle year in and year out that turn in really good teams. And I think a lot of that is, COVID. Everybody's got extra years back. Everybody has arms. I remember when, everybody used to have 1 or 2 guys that were 90 plus, and it seems like every team has 2 starters that are 95 and 3 guys coming out of the pen that are mid to upper 90s. And that's just the game we're in now. So it's a really good year for the Big Ten Conference. I wish we would have been able to plug a little bit more teams in here, but like I said, that is what it is, and we're going to try to represent it well.
Taking a closer look at the 2021 Maryland Terrapins offensively, I know you like to have your ball club embrace the pack mentality. I was obviously familiar with that, but for our listeners who may not be, just tell them what that means.
Yeah, I think it kind of is built around the slogan that the strength of the pack's the wolf and the strength of the wolf is the pack. And I think the point of that whole thing is it's not about the individual on our team. It's about the collective, and it's about finding a way together to score runs. And I think the biggest thing about our group and the biggest thing about kind of pack offense is you have to be willing to sacrifice for the people around you, because it's not about your own individual accolade. It's about hanging crooked numbers on the scoreboard. It's about on Friday night, if you're going to try to go up against Gavin Williams and you're going to try to beat him one-on-one and you're going to try to beat him like all by yourself, he's going to wear you out. You're not going to get it done. You might not get done anyway, but your only shot's to do it together and to do it as a group. And it's built around toughness and grit and just being willing to sacrifice for your teammates. And so that's kind of our mentality. It's not about batting average. It's not about stats. It's about how many runs can we score. And our group has done a pretty nice job. We've been down some key pieces. We were without Randy Bednar, who's our senior captain and one of our best hitters, for about 6 weeks. And we still average over 6 runs a game without him, and we're able to find ways to score and find ways to win. And so that's really what it's all about. The pack offense is not built around the individual; it's built around the unit and guys being willing to sacrifice for each other. And this group's done a great job of that.
One of the guys that immediately jumps off the page, shortstop Ben Cowles, hitting a little over 300, 17 home runs, 49 runs batted in. Talk about him and some of the other key guys in that lineup.
Benny's been unbelievable. I tell you what, he's a kid from upstate New York. He's kind of up around the Rochester area. Super athletic kid. Has always been an extremely hard worker. Has always been a guy that got out there and wanted extra ground balls, wanted extra swings. And coming into the year, Benny's shown flashes his whole time here. He's shown flashes of being able to hit for power, being able to hit for average, being able to play elite level defense, but it's just never been consistent. And Benny has worked his tail off. Him and Coach Swope, our hitting coach, have their routine that they go through on a daily basis, rain or shine, game or no game. And Benny has just been unbelievably consistent this year. I mean, you look at it, he hit a little over 300 with 17 homers, but to me, the thing that might have been more impressive is going up into the last weekend. He had a home run every single conference weekend. He had a home run every single weekend except the last one. In his last at bat, he hit off the top of the wall in right center field. But just an unbelievably consistent year from Ben. And, goes from a guy that is a hard competes, that's probably a 4-year college player to working his way into a draft pick, potentially even in the top 10 rounds. And that's just due to his work ethic and the time and effort he's put into this thing. But Benny's been special all year long. It's been a rock for us. It's been really good to have him back. We were without him, but I mean, he's hit his whole career at Maryland. He's a senior. He turned down some money in the draft last year to come back and play one more year with us and graduate. And man, we're glad he did, because he's a rock for us and is kind of cements the center, the middle of our order. And I think the guy that really makes our offense go, very honestly, is Chris Aileen. We call him Bubba, up at the top of the order. He's our leadoff hitter. He's got 20-plus stolen bases, hitting over 300. He's got 8 homers. He can kind of do it all. He can hit for power. He can hit for average. He can run. He can kind of disrupt things on the bases. And he's as good of a center fielder as you're going to find. He can really throw, really defend. But he really sets the tone for our offense. When Bubba's going well, we're usually scoring runs. And so Bubba's been excellent for us. And then, the other guys, you have Matt Shaw, who's a freshman for us here. It's in our 2-hole. And Matty's kind of played all over the field this year. Started the year playing a lot at third. He's played some left field, but he's really found his home at second base. And ever since we moved in there, he's made every routine play. He's made highlight reel plays, and he's just continued to hit. I was looking at a stat of him today, and with 2 outs and a runner in scoring position, he's hitting over 400, which is kind of wild to look at, especially as a freshman. And obviously, we had a really talented freshman in Max Anderson at third base at Nebraska, that won Freshman of the Year in our league. But I told everybody that saw this, I don't think Matt Shaw is the best freshman in our league. I think he's one of the best 5 players in our league. That's the kind of player he's got the ability to be. So, he's a mainstay. And then I think the final guy is Maxwell Costa, who's really battled a lot of injuries this year. Started the year with a wrist injury, got back from that, rolled his ankle when we were out at Illinois rounding third base, and we were without him for a little while longer. But again, it's kind of back in the fold and has not hit for the power this year that he has in the last 2 years, but had a huge homer. Had a 2-out ninth-inning homer off a reliever from Indiana that was coming into the game with 0 ERA to tie the game in the 9th inning. And so, obviously, hopefully, he's the kind of guy that if he gets hot, he can kind of put the team on his back. And I was kind of joking with him the other day. His older brother Marty played for us here, and Marty's coming out party was at East Carolina. Marty wasn't really playing. We were down here at the tournament. Marty hadn't played a lot. He hit one of the farthest balls I've ever seen to left field here, and that was kind of the start of Marty's career here at Maryland. So I told him, I was like, don't be afraid to call your brother and pull some tips for him for this weekend. But yeah, I think those are kind of some of the guys that jump off the page as far as the offense goes. Then you have a lot of guys kind of in the middle to the end of the order that are just the most sold out team guys there is. If they need to bunt, they're going to bunt. If they need to move the runner, they can move the runner. They're going to compete with 2 strikes and do what they got to do. So yeah, I think that's kind of some of the main guys right there.
Taking a look at your pitching staff, let's start with your rotation. A guy that immediately jumped off the page with the numbers he's put up, Sean Burke, 99 strikeouts and 68 1/3, just 43 hits allowed, 5-3 with about a 3.5 ERA. Talk a little about Sean, and then the rest of your starting rotation, and what, if anything, you've decided regarding your pitching plans, if you've unveiled anything there.
Yeah, so you hit the nail on the head. Burke's an elite level dude. He's a guy coming out of high school, probably would have never got here if it wasn't for TJ. He had Tommy John his senior year of high school, missed a good chunk of his senior year, his whole freshman year here, was off to a really good start last year. Had 4 starts for us, was throwing the ball extremely well. Obviously, COVID canceled that and shut it down for another year. And Sean's got a really big fastball. It's a big time fastball. It's got, I don't super get into all this stuff, but it's got all the metrics that makes analytical people drool as far as that goes. But it's a good fastball. He's really can pitch up and down in the zone both. It's a really hard pitch to get above, but fastball's good. He's really complemented that this year with two good breaking balls. He's got a little cutter and a little bigger overhand breaking ball, and then he's got feel for a changeup. But when Shawnee's good, he's just going out and competing, and I think part of Sean's ups and downs this year, and the reason his numbers are great, but the reason they're not even better is he just hasn't pitched a lot. He's a guy that missed his senior year, missed his freshman year, got 4 starts his sophomore year, and now we're into his junior year. And we look at Sean and say, yeah, he's a junior, he's a third-year guy, but realistically, going into this year, he had made 4 collegiate starts, 4 appearances in college. So it's been a good learning experience down the way. His best 2 starts he's had all year have been his last 2. And, he was a super competitive basketball player in high school, and I think just channeling that and letting all the other stuff go, letting the mechanical side go, letting all that go, and just going and being an athlete and attacking people and getting after people. That's what he's really continuing to learn and grow to do. And his last 2 starts for us have been just lights out. I mean, he's got the ability to completely take over a game. And so Shawnee's been really good. We have a freshman, Jason Savakul, who, his first collegiate start against Michigan State, he goes complete game on 96 pitches. I mean, the guy wasn't scared stepping into a college environment and threw the ball extremely well. He's got a really good slider, his ability to really sink the baseball, in on righties. And, Savvy's had a really good year for us. He's got 7 wins in our league, I believe it is, which is first or second in our league in wins, which as a freshman, man, it's pretty impressive. And he's been roughed up a couple starts, but threw really, really well for us this last weekend when we really needed it. So really happy for him the way he threw. But yeah, so he's there. Nick Dean's the guy. Obviously, unfortunately, you guys won't get to see him this weekend. Dean missed the first few weeks with mono, and got back and was lights out. We moved him to Friday. He was our Friday starter and was absolutely, dominating. Just can really, really pitch. Had great starts, great numbers. Had an accident last Monday, and ended up has a non-displaced fracture in his wrist. So we'll be without him this weekend. We were without him last weekend as well. So, that'll obviously hurt. But like I said, this group's been all about stepping up and next guy up all day long. So we're going to say we're in the process of kind of evaluating, Charlotte and Norfolk State and East Carolina is our opponents there, and just seeing who's the best matchup. I think the one thing I've learned from being in these as an assistant before is you can't look past anybody. You got to go win your game. And so, if we stay on our normal rotation, we'd run Savakul out game 1 and Burke out game 2. Just it's kind of the rotation we've been in, but both guys feel great and both guys are ready to go. So, we have the ability, if we kind of take a look at Charlotte and think Burke might be a better matchup for him, we have the ability to slide that in there. So that's something our staff will be finalizing probably tonight once we get to the hotel, and be ready to rock for practice tomorrow.
Tell us about your bullpen. I know you have a guy in Sam Bello, 15 appearances, 7 saves. Yeah. Sammy's been great for us all year. We've got some pretty good horses down in the back of that bullpen. Ryan Ramsey was second team all conference as a left-handed arm. It's a very simple pitch plan, man, but he executes it at a really high level. He's left-handed up to 94, has some ride to his heater and can land a breaking ball. It's been really, really good for us out of the pen. The beauty is I think Ramsey's got the ability to start too. So depending on how the weekend goes, I'm not afraid to throw him at the beginning of a game either. I think he's going to be in our rotation next year. But Ramsey's been really good for us back there. And then Sammy came in as our closer, had an unbelievable start to the year. Kind of hit a little snag there in some of the middle points of the year and had a couple games he didn't throw the ball too great, got hit around a little bit, but his last few outings back out have been really, really good. He's tough as nails. He's a winner. He loves to compete. And the bottom line is when the game's on the line late in the game, I really trust the ball in his hands. So Sammy's been really good for us. We have Elliot Zolner, who's a low slot righty, kind of a sidearm guy with a really good breaking ball. That's been invaluable for us. Elliot's had a heck of a story here, and he's been here with us for a while. Had a chance to sign a free agent deal last year as a senior, decided not to do it. Had a chance to start working last year. Had a really good job lined up. Decided to come back and give it one more ride, and he's having a heck of a senior year. So he's a guy, again, that can get us multiple innings that we can run out at the end of the game, and it's just tough, man. Like the slider's tough. Lefties, it starts
in the righty's batter's box and he can bring it back, and righties and starts behind you, and it's just really hard to pull the trigger on. So he's been really good out of there. You know, Dave Falco's been another really reliable arm out of the pen for us. It's a really big fastball. You know, Sean Hines, Sean Fisher, some matchup type guys we have on the back end right there. So, you know, our bullpen's been really solid. If we can get, you know, if we can hand them a lead in the 6th or 7th inning, they've been pretty good at doing their job on the back end.
Final thing for you, Coach. This is Maryland's first trip to the road to Omaha since 2017. So if you would just talk about what have you told your ball club concerning the atmosphere at Clark LeClaire Stadium and what it will be like this weekend.
Yeah, I told our left fielder he better pack some earplugs because he's going to get worn out there. But no, it's a fun place to play, man. I've been coming here for a lot of years. You know, I've known Cliff for a really long time. There's no doubt the fans here, they appreciate good baseball. I remember I was referencing Marty Costas earlier. He's out there and he's getting worn out by the boys in the jungle there for a while, and then by the end of it, they're handing him hot dogs because he's a good sport with it. Like, man, they get baseball down here. It's going to be a fun atmosphere to play in. It's going to be a very intense atmosphere. You know, I know Cliff Godwin coach teams are hard-nosed, tough guys, and you know, the atmosphere really echoes that. So, you know, my message to them was really pretty simple. You know, I've been a part of teams that get to the postseason and get to this piece, and it's almost just the relief that they got there, that they're just happy to be there. And then I've been a part of teams that have blown their way through regionals, you know, in 14 and 15. We won at South Carolina. I was an assistant on that staff, and then we went out to UCLA the next year, and they were the number 1 seed in the whole tournament. We knocked them off. And, you know, I've been a part of teams that go into the postseason and win in the postseason. And so that was my message to them, man. Don't be satisfied. Come in here, lay it all on the line. You have to take it a day at a time. We got to try to figure out a way to beat Charlotte on Friday night. And, you know, whether we win, whether we lose, we then regroup. We see who's available, see what we've got, and go do it all again the next day. But I think you've really got to kind of stay focused on what's in front of you, what's directly in front of you, because you can lose yourself in these things if you don't have a good plan that way. So I'm excited for the atmosphere. I'm excited for our boys to get to experience it and play, and really happy for some of these seniors that have been here for a few years and are getting to experience this thing on their way out. So looking forward to a fun weekend. Hopefully the weather holds off on Friday, and looking forward to crazy atmospheres and get to play baseball for a little while longer.
Yeah, no doubt regarding the weather. That's something that East Carolina fans for sure don't like to think about after what happened in 2018 and 2019. Hopefully this year we'll be able to avoid the rain and thunderstorms. But appreciate your time this afternoon, Coach. Safe travels to you and the Terrapins, and congratulations on an excellent season thus far. And, you know, excellent year for you guys. And, you know, and take care. Appreciate you coming on the program.
Absolutely, guys. I appreciate you.